Okay, so welcome back. So this is the part 2 of week 1. So we will continue our discussion where we left in the previous video, where we're talking about environmental problems, causes, and some of the sustainability issues, and why this course is relevant. So if you remember, we were looking at this water, environment, energy, and food, and all that, how they are related together. So another important aspect is on the water's impact on human health, which we kind of related. We talked about that earlier, but if you look at here, this again, the data, some of the data presented in this particular slide is slightly older. Some are in fact slightly more older, but don't worry too much about in terms of preciseness of the data, because we are just talking about highlighting some issues associated with water. Numbers do change, and but overall its issue remains the same. So 80% of the disease in the developing countries are due to the lack of access to clean potable water. So even in the class I will show you one of the recent report where you will see some of these numbers will be with the latest number as well. So it's due to lack of access to clean potable water, and pathogens are pathogens transmitted through water. They kill 25 million people every year. As per one of the WHO report in way back, which says that nearly 4,000 children dies every day because of now this number hopefully is much lower. 90% of the 2.2 million deaths of children was under 5. The most effective management intervention is providing safe drinking water and proper disposal of human waste. So it's the basic message is clean water is one of the most essential thing that you need. Without that, you really cannot do much, and does not matter what industry. It's each and every industry needs clean water for our daily day-to-day survival as well. So it's disease from dirty water, and lack of basic sanitation. They kill more people than all the forms of violence, including war. So that's really, we have to kind of think about that as well. And there are a lot of examples. For example, recently we are going through this COVID pandemic, and COVID pandemic we kind of look at, oh, this many people, the deaths of people, but there are deaths from a lot of other sources, a lot of other causes on day-to-day basis too. I'm not saying that the response to COVID is not important. It is very, very important, but it's after COVID is over, there are a lot of other issues out there as well, which also needs our attention. For example, like lack of access water, not having proper sanitary facility, not having proper drinking water at at public places. I'll talk about say for example in the railway stations. Many railway stations does not have access to clean drinking water. We have those taps, but how good is that water? It's still things have really improved in last few years, but it's still many places you don't have good clean drinking water available. We are forced to buy those bottled water, and we do have Wi-Fi though. So Wi-Fi is important, but not before water. So those issues needs to be, those are the things which we want to kind of highlight, so that you are aware of what the society needs more, so that whenever you make the decision, you make a proper decision. So if you just look at some more data, more than 5 million people die from water-related disease. A child dies in water-related disease every 15 seconds. 30% of water-related deaths are due to diarrhea. 84% of water-related deaths in the lower age group, as you see over there. Let me get my pen here. Okay, so 84% is in lower days, 98% is happening in the developing world. So in many issues are there in terms of water. Then we have the waste management. This is a classical picture. It is actually from China, but you can find several pictures and videos. If you just do Google Images and the Google video search, YouTube search, you will find a lot of improper electronic waste disposal practices in developing countries, including in India, China. You will find less from China actually, from India, from as well from your many African countries. So This picture is you see all these e-waste right there, a lot of e-waste, and this kid is just sitting on discarded e-waste. The people around there just whatever the valuables they needed, they could recovered, they took it out, and then this e-waste is just left to dump over there. And the practice they use to recover this electronic waste material is, you see all these fumes coming out using aqua regia with some gumboots in there, like their gloves is there, but other than that there is no no inhalation protection, so no mask or nothing. And so this all these fumes can make people sick, and it goes to the atmosphere, and then you see all these watery stuff, which is actually a lot of acid mixed stuff in there as well. So they gets dumped into the nearby river, and that river becomes polluted too, the stream and the river. This picture is from somewhere in India. You see all these waste on the side of the on this particular stream, and then this stream becomes mostly a lot of organic loading, plastic loadings and other stuff, and then it becomes a huge mess. And you can see the color of the water, and also if you stand there, it will start, it's a smelly, it's a lot of organic activity, a lot of anaerobic organic activity happening there, and that creates a lot of problem in that particular form of, in the particular water. And then from a small stream goes to the river, it gets diluted further. But if you have too much loading, then river also becomes a problem, like we have seen in Jamuna river and several other rivers as well. So I just wanted to continue our little bit of discussion from the last video as well. So that's the reason why to study environment. I think I have highlighted it enough. We have fresh, clean resources from that we get from Mother Earth. We have clean water, air, land and minerals which has provided to us by Mother Earth. We let it go through several processes. This is just an indicative diagram, not only industrial process, industrial, agricultural and all those different processes that we use to generate resources for our day-to-day living, for our survival, and then we end up creating lots of pollution. Resource pollution leads to severe impacts, and so for our survival, the maintenance of the environment is essential. As I said earlier in the early video as well, for healthy economy, we need healthy workforce. And for healthy workforce, you need to understand the environmental issues. Then only you will have healthy workforce. So that's the reason why you need this particular course. So now we'll start getting into more details now. So if you look at the human, we have the human operator, we have the environment, we also have the machines which we work in any industrial economy. So in terms of humans, we are mostly like working with different technologies. We have done some training, we have some degree programs, we are a healthy work program. We kind of look at how much work we can do. We also look at how much physical load we can really handle. Environment, they provide in terms of temperature, the humidity, noise, lighting and all that. Machine, there will be some physical wear and tear, appropriate use is required, reliability of the machine. Some machines are more complex than other, but all these three together has to kind of makes a bigger role in developing and delivering any product. And that's where the interaction comes in terms of human interaction with the environment. And these are some of the just examples. They are not in the total list. These are just few examples there. And some few example parameters are listed over there. So there is an interaction of humans with machines and environment and machines and environment and humans. So all these together, it's kind of together makes it's needed to develop like a quality product or quality process. So in terms of now getting into a little bit of detail, if you start looking at our impact, as we talked about in this particular week, we will talk about environmental issues. So in terms of environmental issues, so if you kind of go back a little bit and then look at the earth, is a history of the earth. So Mother Earth is around 4.6 billion years old, and some of this newer data suggests that actually it is much older than that, but let's not worry about that aspect. Let's say it is only 4.6 billion years old. And the humanity, the Homo sapiens, the humans as we know each other, like as we exist, is around 0.2 million years old. So it's around 0.2 million years old, that's what the humanity is. So out of 0.2 million out of 4.6 billion. So our existence on this planet is very, very small. Now if you take that history of the earth and try to put it in a 24-hour scale. If you in this 24-hour scale, if you put that, then 1 second becomes 52,000 years, 1 minute is 3.125 million years, 1 hour is this many million years. Now, if you look at this, if it starts at 0 over here, why 24 hours? Because we have 24 hours in a day. So, let us start. So, midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. like that. So, when we started, there was some meteorite bombardment, we had some Big Bang and other stuff. Then origin of life, that happened at around 4 o'clock in the morning. If say if we start at midnight, so after 4 hours we see origin of some form of life. At then we see oldest fossils. Then there was lot of abundant banded iron formations happen. We saw algae showing up, which is almost after 14 hours of a start of this Mother Earth. And these are all when we say hours, these are basically trying to put the entire history of Earth in 24-hour scale. Then we saw some reproduction happening. We have seaweed, jellyfish, land plants, then dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were there. After dinosaurs went, then we had mammals. Then we have humans, and the humans, as you can see, is at almost close to like less than 2 minutes of our existence. And if you look at the Homo sapiens, the way that we exist today is actually around 4 seconds, 200,000, some 200,000 years. The modern humans is around 200,000 years. That's it. So, but why we are talking about, why we are looking at this map, why we are talking about this? The reason for that is, I want to highlight the concept that I want to highlight in that 4 seconds. If you talk about modern humans, or if you talk about human general, like even our ancestors of different species that we had before we became modern humans as we are today, it's in that if you take that period as well, that's just slightly over a minute. 1 minute 17 seconds, and that 1 minute 17 seconds we ended up using lots and lots of resources from Mother Earth and start creating more and more pollution. And even that, most of it has happened in last 200 years. Last 200 years, that's what, and even if you look at even in the last 200 years, it is mostly after the Second World War. It's in the last after the Industrial Revolution of Second World War. So we cannot have business as usual. See, one thing we need to realize, Mother Earth does not need us. We need Mother Earth. That's a very strong statement if you just pause and think about it. Mother Earth does not need us. We need Mother Earth to survive. And when we say we, I am talking about us today, your generation, later on, your future generation, your grandchildren's, great-grandchildren's, and further, say several thousand years that probably we will stay on this planet, and there will be some day when our race will go away because all the races have disappeared. So, we will go away, and then some other new form of life will come. So, we have to keep this environment clean. We have to manage this environment better, so that the future generation should also enjoy the same benefit that we have enjoyed in our life, and they should not get all those hardship because of all the environmental pollutions that we are going to create. So, we were talking about population as like a humans as we are growing, our numbers are also going up. Earlier we thought about 8 billion, 10 billion. So, there is exponential growth of population happening. It's almost like an exponential growth, and where if you try to look at animal and human population over time, here your population size versus time, x axis is your time, y axis is the population size. Growth p is equal to p0 e to the power of ERT, where p is your future size of population, p is the current size of population, t is the number of years, and r is the assumed constant growth rate. So, this is where you will see that there is certain decline in recent times. Our growth rate has gone down, but since our P0 is pretty high, so P will be still higher. which you will see in few slides, maybe in this video or the next video when we will talk about that. And there is a whole chapter, whole week focused on population. We will talk in more detail about that as well. So, this rate is always often expressed in as a percentage. For example, Australia's current population growth rate is 1.6%. So, that is the Australia's growth rate, and in that population rate includes not only the reproduction, it is also people coming into the country, lot of immigration happening in many of the countries. So, that also has to be taken into account. So, rate is determined by 4 principles. We have B minus D plus I minus E. Now, what is B? B is the birth rate, D is the death rate. So, whatever people getting added here, people getting subtracted here because people are going out of the system. Immigration rate, people coming into the country, and then immigration rate, which is with an E, where the people are going out of the country. So, both happens, like for from the many developing countries, people are going to developed countries. There is always a lot of migration, like immigration and immigration as well. So, that would be again negative. So, based on this you will calculate your R, that is how. So, birth rate over time has actually gone down in many parts of the world. Death rate has also gone down because of a lot of advancement in medical field. So, we have like longevity of life earlier, say many if people used to live for say 60 some years, now people live for 80 some years, and there are because of the lot of medical things are out there, we can diagnose certain disease now, which was not possible earlier, and then there are medicines which helps people to stay out like relatively healthy for a longer period of time. So, birth rate, your death rate, people moving in and out, and so that kind of gives you the total population. So, factors affecting birth rate: age of death versus period of fertility, at what age people die. So, that is and what is the period of fertility, how healthy the person is, how much number of children people are going for, age of bearing children, like what is the age group of people present who can bear children, infant mortality, that is also has the rate of infant mortality has gone down, but is still long work, a lot of work is needed. What is the general age of population? If you look at Europe and some of the say Japan and other countries, their population, most of the people there are quite older. So, of course, you will have less newer babies being born there, as opposed to say India and some other countries where we are still very young, relatively younger country. So, we will have more population, more reproduction things happening. Health of population, how good is the health, education level of population. So, based on you see that these are all these different factors which affects the birth rate. Death rate is natural lifespan, how long you live. Availability of health care, how good is your health care facility, care provided to elderly, occupation and say risk, how much of what kind of occupation people are exposed to, what kind of risk they are exposed to, social stability, monetary stability as well, health of the community. Says if you have these kind of pollutions, you hear from time to time that say if somebody is living in Delhi, their life expectation is, that is again we do not have concrete research evidence right now, because it is not very easy to get kind of data, but the guesstimate is people, if somebody is living in Delhi for most part of their life, they will end up losing maybe 2 years of their worth of their life because of all the pollution happening around there. So, this let us look at this and then we will stop in this particular segment of the video. So, if you look at the global population growth over time, your y-axis, x axis is here is your year in the time, and then y axis is the global population, that is in millions. If you look at carefully, we have a very flat line in the beginning, that is in the Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, then of course, even into some form of the Middle Age. Then we start seeing a like an increase here. This cross the same line, and then there is some dip, as you can see over there, and then there is a huge increase in population. That is actually again it's in last, that if you see, that is the last 200 years, last 200 some years, and we had a huge increase in population, and that we like close in mid to 2017 it was 7.6 billion. Today we are close to 8 billion people. So, that's, and because of this increase in huge increase in population, there is a lot of demand for resources and lot of demand for water. So, because of demand for resources, there is a lot of environmental implications, and those environmental implications need to be minimized, and that's what we will try to teach about in this particular course, that how to minimize the environmental damages that is happening to our planet. So, thank you and see you again in the next video.